Jayson Tatum is expected to make his season debut tomorrow, 300 days removed from that Achilles injury. What am I looking for in that game? And despite the Celtics' dominant win Monday in Milwaukee without Jaylen Brown, the hottest team in the NBA, the Charlotte Hornets, came to Boston to give the Celtics one of the biggest losses in TD Garden history, proving they're a nightmare first-round matchup. I'm your host, Zach LeBlanc, Celtics insider for Believe. This is Believe in Celtics. So before we get to the Tatum talk, the Hornets talk, we're going to get to the game on Monday. This was an interesting game for the Celtics because Jaylen Brown, already talking about Tatum here. Jaylen Brown was going to miss this game, a little bit of rest here. Nemish Queta, after that big Sunday night game, getting some rest. And in the past, I was curious in this one because the Celtics defended Giannis using their size in the past. Giannis' first game back in about 5 weeks of action, playing what could be his final game series in Milwaukee Bucks. But like I said, the Celtics used a lot of that size to combat Giannis in the past. So the 2018 playoff series and 2019, the Celtics using Al Horford, having Aaron Baines as well there, sort of bigger guys to combat him. And then the next year, the Celtics did not have that same size, so they put a guy like Jaylen Brown with that athleticism on him. And then the past couple of years, they've had a lot of that luxury of having some of that size again. But the Celtics in this one, without Jaylen Brown, I was expecting if he were to play and Giannis coming back, that would be how they would defend Giannis, putting Jaylen Brown on him, combating him with a lot of that athleticism that Jaylen Brown has. But the Celtics, like I said, an opportunity for Brown to rest in this one. Giannis gets upgraded to available, and this was a game of opportunity and stepping up for guys with no Jaylen Brown. I want to start off with the guy who stepped up the most. Hugo Gonzalez was extremely aggressive in this game. He basically, right out of the gate, just did not stop moving in this game. Cutting through the lane, had a nice finish to begin the game for the Celtics. Couple putback rebounds, had a tremendous putback dunk, a real energy moving play in there. And like I said, he was just aggressive shooting in this game. Whether he had a little bit of daylight, he had a transition three, which he didn't make, but I like seeing that aggressiveness out of him. He ran the floor in the second quarter for an and one finish, and he was just a beast on the glass in this game. A double-double with 9 minutes and 30 seconds left in the third quarter. Ended up finishing the game with 18 points and 16 rebounds, his second double-double of the year. And then he comes up the next play after getting that double-double to knock down a three. The third quarter, he gets a nice block on Ryan Rollins, and then it doesn't stop there. He's running the floor fully down in transition. Derek White finds him just for a wide open layup, sprinting the floor. That ability to not only crash the glass in this game, but also to make a play on defense, then to run the entire floor, I think is he just has an incredible motor. And it's the type of player that he really can grow into. He's surprised me so much this year. I think I knew he was going to come to the league at a professional level, playing in Spain, of course, but just to see the way he stepped up throughout this year, I mean, he's really one of those guys that you talk about that was NBA ready, and he is starting to prove that he belongs in this league and making plays on a night in and night out basis, stepping up with, like I said, a guy like Jaylen Brown's out, opportunity for everyone in the lineup, especially with Jayson Tatum coming back now. It was a chance for, some guys who might not get another opportunity that big for the rest of the year to really play well, and they responded well. Hugo Gonzalez was the perfect example of that. Was a lot of that first line defense on Giannis as well. And even then, even when he wasn't the primary guy, he was the guy that was coming over to double, sending help, doing whatever he could. He drew an offensive foul on Giannis in the post at one point. He did just simply a little bit of everything in this one. It was also good to see Luka Garza back in the rotation. Like I said, Nemish Queta out. He delivered a nice little post hook to start things off. Good to see him just hit a shot and picked up where he left off, making a difference in the offensive glass. The Celtics, again in this game, just rebounding so well. Miles Turner, not the biggest rebounder, of course. Having Giannis back helped for the Bucks, but at the same time, the Celtics have commanded so much help on the offensive glass this year that has really changed the game for them, considering that they were the worst defensive rebounding team to start the year. Now they're one of the best. It's always good having an option to bring in Garza, especially when on a night where Nemish Queta is out. The other thing, too, I want to talk about, because I'm just talking about a lot of these guys stepping up here. Baylor Shireman, one move that he's really added to his game is a little up fake and turnaround jumper, something that he's done on the past couple games here at least once in that mid-range specific area. And speaking of jumpers, Sam Hauser knocking down his first three to start this game was huge for him. He was 0 for 10 the last time the Celtics visited Milwaukee, that game without Giannis last time, where Bobby Portis had a tremendous game. Kyle Kuzma notched 31 points in that one. Hauser 0 for 10, like I said, and then 0 for 9 from three in his last effort in Milwaukee. But the hometown kid came in and he shot tremendous in this one to end the first quarter, running a little pick and pop with Peyton Pritchard. He catches the ball, fires up a three, and he could tell it was short as soon as he released it. So what he does, he follows his shot, tracks down his rebound, and around the free throw line, fading to his left, knocks down the buzzer beater to end the first quarter to give the Celtics a 30-22 advantage. And really after that, the Celtics were not facing any pressure. Hauser, another great play that I loved in this game, and it came from Nikola Vucevic, who didn't have the greatest game scoring-wise in this one, but he was posting up the mismatch, and what that does is that it draws two, and I've talked about his passing a lot here. Vucevic sees that the second defender's coming, and on the opposite side, throws it to Hauser, opposite corner, and a no-dip three for Hauser to go in. Tremendous play by the Celtics, especially Hauser, the no-dip three. It's just a beauty to watch. Shireman's been working on that as well. Tremendous play there from Vucevic. And the Celtics and Bucks would ultimately start trading threes in the second quarter at one point. But the Celtics, like I said, they did not look back in this one. A 22-point lead built by stops and threes. Everyone was taking turns defending Giannis, seeing doubles, closing gaps, contesting the paint. It's like if you ever guard your friend that can't shoot, but is just fast and athletic, that's what it's like defending Giannis. Everyone has to be ready to help. Everyone has to know when he has the ball and do anything you can to cut off his space to the rim. I thought the Celtics did an all right job on Giannis in this one, and then his minutes restriction definitely affected him because outside of Giannis being in the game, there was not much going for Milwaukee in this one. They did have a 15-3 run to close the second quarter and start the third quarter, putting a little bit of pressure on the Celtics, and Giannis had some success getting to the rim in that one. But like I said, outside of Giannis, the Bucks struggled to do anything. They struggled to find any offensive rhythm. I mentioned Bobby Portis and Kyle Kuzma playing a big part in the last win that the Bucks had against Boston and Milwaukee. Nowhere to be found in this one. And the Celtics would respond right from that 15-3 one with a 15-0 run of their own to reclaim a 24-point lead built on cuts to the basket. Vuce and Hugo Gonzalez, Hauser coming off screens for threes. Everyone was doing a little bit. And from this game, the Celtics were set up. We'll see how the season ends, but after this game, Celtics set up to finish top 6 in offense and defense. Offensive defensive rating every year under Joe Mazzulla. Incredible, just incredible. Celtics with a 96-69 lead at one point in this, completely opening up the game. The Boston Celtics just dismantling the Milwaukee Bucks on the road without Jaylen Brown and Amish Queta, setting them up for a big-time matchup last night in Wednesday's game against the Charlotte Hornets, the hottest team in the NBA. And my first and immediate reaction from this game was that the Charlotte Hornets are for real. They are a good team, 17-3 in their last 20, and they've won every game on their current 6-game win streak by 15 points, something that hasn't been done since the 17-18 Golden State Warriors. They beat the Celtics at their own game in this one. The Hornets shoot a ton of threes, shot 49 threes in total in this one, and they have the personnel for it. When you look at it, they already have LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller alone are two guys that have really blossomed. I think Brandon Miller especially finally coming into his own here, really understanding the offensive game and doing what he needs to do for this team. And then you add in Con Knipple, who's already broken the rookie three-point record. He leads the league in 3 points made. That is a three-headed dragon from three-point range. Those three guys could not miss in this game. And the Celtics, on the other hand, came out flat. Trailed early in this game by 10 to end the first, and the Hornets really never looked back after that. I talked about the shooting from the Hornets, shot 12 for 25 from three in the first half, just ballooning that lead up to 20 points, beating the Celtics at their own game from shooting threes. The Celtics, on the other hand, just shooting-wise, was not there. Shot 36 or 38% from the field, 26% from three. Nowhere to go for the Celtics, and they generated some good looks here and there. But ultimately, it was a struggling day for the Celtics. No rhythm on offense. The only guy who really found a strong rhythm was Derek White. Only source of consistent offense. He had a game-high 29 in this one. He was locked in from the jump. I'll give Derek White tons of credit for that. He came in to start out hot, knocking down a few threes, but no one else picked up for him. The Celtics' effort and energy overall was not there. They came out completely flat. And Jaylen Brown talked about it. He took accountability for the Celtics' effort, said they weren't the harder playing team. And when watching this game, I think that's pretty true. But also, the Hornets were just shooting extremely well, playing extremely well in this one. So even had the Celtics played a little bit harder, it was going to be hard to beat this team. I mean, they've been so hot, and that's why these guys are legit. They're for real. Charles Lee, of course, was here with the Celtics on that assistant coaching staff when they won the championship. And when he came over from Milwaukee, a lot of people thought that he was going to get a starting job somewhere else, but he comes to Boston to be another assistant coach. And of course, that led him to Charlotte. That starting lineup of LaMelo Ball, Con Kniffel, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and Moussa Diabate moves to 20-2 on the season. I mean, they're the number one offense in the NBA since January 1st. They are just tremendous. I mean, they have just blowing out teams. And the big thing was lately they've been blowing out bad teams. Now they come into Boston, a chance to show the world really what they are, what they're up to. And they took advantage of the opportunity. It's a young team. Reminds me a lot of the Celtics turnaround in 21-22. Because not only are the Hornets offense clicking, they have the third best defensive rating on this stretch as well. So they're locked in on the defensive end. And the Celtics, I talk about what the Celtics try to do to combat that defense in a game where Peyton Pritchard goes scoreless. The second time in 3 games he's done that after scoring every game for over a year. Last time he went scoreless was January 25th. January 2025. And meanwhile, Nikola Vucevic struggled shooting in this one again. Just no help from the Celtics bench. When Vooch and Pritchard aren't playing well, you have nothing coming off the bench to score to make up for that lapse. So that is a extremely tough game for the Celtics. But the Charlotte Hornets, these guys are for real. Whether you're, the Celtics, the Pistons, the Cavs, the Knicks, whoever draws the Hornets in the first round, it is going to be extremely difficult. I mean, like I said, these guys remind me of that 21-22 Celtics team with how well they play on both ends of the floor. They have the personnel to do it. They're extremely young. They're extremely hungry. And they play with a lot of energy. Like the Pacers last year, too. They were a 6 seed, but since the second half of the year, they were one of the best teams in basketball. And, I mean, look what happens when you get hot at the right time, you get healthy. I really did not see this coming from the Hornets, and I think a big reason why was because, they weren't healthy, and now they're healthy. I talk about that starting lineup. 20-2 is an incredible number to have from a starting lineup, and that's also why, the Celtics in 21-22, when they had that starting 5 of Smart, Brown, Tatum, Horford, and Robert Williams, that starting lineup had one of the best net ratings in the NBA, just like these Charlotte Hornets. So it's an incredible run that they're going on. Credit to Charles Lee. I'm excited to see what this team can do in the playoffs because they can make some serious noise, and good for you guys, Hornets fans, who've had to endure probably a lot over the past, couple decades of existing, but first time these guys are really relevant again, and good to see them playing some excellent basketball because they're a fun team to watch. They're no doubt about it. When they're all healthy. A lot of these guys, Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, extremely talented. You add Con Kniffel, like I said, and they're on the run now. They're young, hungry, and they play fast. They're an exciting team to watch. Definitely will be a league pass favorite. Now, of course, the big news, Jayson Tatum back in the lineup for the Boston Celtics for the first time in nearly 300 days. What am I looking for? Well, the 2-seeded Celtics are adding a guy who's made 4 straight first-team All-NBAs. Now, at face value, that is what it is, but you don't need Tatum to play at that level. He's not going to play at that level. I'd expect, you might even only get 70% out of him just to start things off because he needs to ramp up in this games. I think we'll know closer to tip-off, of course, but I assume he's going to be limited around 20 minutes. And here's what I want to see in those minutes. I think first, how he moves on the court. He's always been an extremely athletic player. I want to see how he moves out, how he slides on defense, how he comes off screens on offense, rebounds, those little things that will give an indication of not only how he's feeling physically, but also mentally. Also, how does Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics integrate him? As of now, Tatum needs to try and fit himself into this team as seamlessly as possible. These guys have played together for about over 60 games now. The Celtics have about 20 games left. So there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for everyone. Of course, they know how to play with Tatum, a lot of these guys, but you're so in rhythm of how you've played all year. And now Jayson Tatum seamlessly just going to come right back to the lineup. It's not going to be as easy as it sounds, but you trust that the Celtics will figure it out. Tatum and Brown have played together for as long as they have. Joe Mazzulla is smart enough. They know how to figure it out. I think allowing him to play a little bit off ball here and there, get some open shots, coming off screens, working off of Jaylen Brown, getting working off of Derek White is a good way to just ease him in at first because he's really just ramping up right now. You're getting him prepared for the playoffs. He doesn't have to come out and be Jayson Tatum right away, and he might not be Jayson Tatum fully until next season. I think that's a extremely fair expectation. But your point right now is to just get him integrated into the system, get him up to speed, get him feeling good about himself and himself mentally, especially. Additionally, I think a big part is that the Celtics can go to one of their main rotations of subbing Tatum out early. We'll have to see if he starts or comes off the bench. A lot of people say that it is good for him to come off the bench. I do think it's the right move, but at the same time, the Celtics may say it's Jayson Tatum. He's going to start eventually. Why not start him now? Put him in the starting lineup, and we'll figure it out. I think a good part of that is that if Tatum subs out early, how the Celtics used to, it lets Jaylen Brown play for majority of the first, plays with a lot of the starters, and then you allow Tatum to come in on the bench to work with the second group. I think this gives Tatum the freedom to have the ball in his hands a little bit more. Of course, without Jaylen Brown, he's got the highest usage rate of his career, but also it allows him to ease himself in because he's also probably going to be with a guy like Derek White, a guy like Peyton Pritchard, who can handle a little bit of his ball handling duties when Tatum needs to play off the ball. Ultimately, I'm super excited, of course, to see Jayson Tatum back in the lineup. Is he going to, how's he going to shoot? How is he going to look? How athletic is he going to be? It's the big question that we're all looking to see. But this is a game, too, where the Celtics can really put up some points on this Dallas team. Cooper Flagg is expected to play tonight on Thursday night. So Dallas coming off a back-to-back. Cooper Flagg should hopefully play in that one. Hometown kid. There will be a ton of people from Maine. Tickets for this Celtics game are going through the roof right now, up to around $250. So if you're going to the building to see Jayson Tatum's return game, credit to you. Have fun. Enjoy it. I'm super excited. We'll be back on Saturday, of course, to talk everything about Jayson Tatum's return, how he looked, what it means for the Celtics, how the Celtics played. I'm excited. It's going to be a big game. After nearly 300 days, Jayson Tatum's back, the face of the Celtics right now. Him and Brown, the two guys, the Jays, they're ready to lead the Celtics back to a championship. And having Tatum back is the first piece to now, all right, the Celtics can really do this year in a year that so many people viewed as a gap year. It's time for them to really start gearing up for the playoffs. I'm Zach LeBlanc. This is Believe in Celtics. I'm here to really help you get ready to prepare for the playoffs, the Celtics playoff push and their championship run. Like I said, we'll be back Saturday to talk everything about Jayson Tatum's return. I'm Zach LeBlanc. This is Believe in Celtics. Thanks for listening.